Okay, so let's start. So as Piotr said, we had some content last time, but it was not presented, so I will go ahead here and present that, and also some other stuff we have progressed since then. So I will start with some introduction and what was published like a few months ago, but on top of that, what are the recent improvements, and maybe a few words about future plans, and also how can you start with playing with those tests if you would like to. So short background on the history of that effort. So maybe you know that we've been maintaining PC Engine's core boot-based firmware for several years, and we've been using some form of this repository at least since 2018, when we've been validating these releases on a monthly basis on several boards. Using this, we've executed over 50,000 of tests. We publicly released over 150 binaries of core boot-based firmware. Initially, it was closed repository, but as we will see in a moment, we have recently published that, and our goal is to work on that in the open. Since the PC Engine's effort, we've been also working on other Dasharo supported platforms, adding some of them to the repository as well. It evolves in many different unpredictable ways. And as I said, at some point we have decided that there is no real value in keeping it closed, so we just decided to open source what we have in whatever state it was, and just start improving that as an open source product, open source project. So right now, the purpose of that Dasharo open source firmware validation is to validate open source firmware. Right now, we support, of course, Dasharo mainly, but we are considering adding support for other firmwares, maybe not only open ones. Maybe we can also validate some of the other firmwares out there using similar approach. What we have in that repository, it is mostly some tests and keywords in robot framework. We have some Python code as well for some keywords. Sometimes it's more suitable to use Python, especially for more complex stuff. And we have some shell scripts mostly as a wrapper for running some test execution. So just a few words about robot framework. It is a generic open source automation framework. It can be used for both test automation, but also for something called robotic process automation. You can see that it's maybe more used in the robot framework in the last few years to automate some other processes, not only testing, but some various work-related stuff, some repeatable actions using robot framework as well. It's been widely used for different kinds of testing, mostly web application testing, like with Selenium driver, but not only. It is also used by OpenBMC project for validation, so it's also low-level firmware embedded Linux project. So they also see some value in that framework. It's quite active. The documentation quality is really high. There is even dedicated conference to that language. Somehow our hardware laboratory looks like. We have several of device under tests set up in racks basically, and with the open source firmware validation scripts, we can run some tests on different types of hardware. Depending on the hardware, we may have different types of interfaces needed for test execution. On some of the boards, we have BMC, maybe OpenBMC or some other BMC to control the power and to gather some serial logs. On some boards, we can only use SSH and we have no control over the power. On most of the boards we are using right now, we are using RTE, so it is our open source hardware board that we use for power control, for flashing, for gathering serial connection. In some of them, we also use Sonoff wireless plug just to control the power. And we also have some setups with PyKVM where we use PyKVM to emulate USB, both keyboard and mass storage. And we also use PyKVM to grab some video output from the board, which is very useful. We don't use that for testing right now, but it is very useful for just remote development on the hardware. Some of the supported hardware is listed here. The support is maybe very different in the current state of the repository, but as you can see, we mostly work right now on some MSI boards, some protected boards, and some Nova custom laptops, as well as we have the Raptor Talos 2 server board as well. So the point to release was like a few months ago. We just pushed whatever we had with no promises, with no guarantees, and we starting from that point, we are trying to make it a bit more stable, create some goals, and to increase adoption of that tools, not only in the community but also in the Dasharo team. So more and more developers can use those tests effortlessly. Some of the recent improvements, we are reducing some, we are splitting some large files to make it more maintainable. We have added some pre-commits rules to enforce some styling, both for Robot Framework and Python. We just don't want to. We just want the review process to be a bit smoother and just leave the style to the automation scripts. So we have applied those rules tree-wide to the whole code base, and from this point on, we just require all contributors to use pre-commit scripts to add here. We have added support for running some of the tests in QEMU, which is using OVMF package released for QEMU. So it allows us to run some tests, develop some tests with no real hardware, which is massively much quicker than using a real hardware to just develop some tests. And once we are finally on QEMU, we can then move to hardware. It greatly improves the performance of test development, test debugging, and so on. We have added some so-called self-tests. We have them under self-tests directory. We can say this is a form of unit test for our Robot Framework keywords, such as the ones that are parsing some menus or moving through some menus. For instance, we have like here some Boolean options, so we can verify with each with each commit that the basic keywords still work as expected, and we hope that it will improve the overall stability of the project. So the previously shown self-tests are already integrated in the CI. So with each pull request, we start some QME machine running Dasharo firmware, and we run this self-test on that. We run pre-commit checks, and we also run some very basic tests on two hardware platforms right now, just to see if the platforms can be booted and the very basic test can be executed. What are the plans for the future? We plan to still rework some of the underlying structures we have in the repository. We consider over the years it grew, maybe not that controlled way. So we have some concept of variables that we might want to migrate to more readable syntax. We have some platform configs. There is a lot of duplication there. We have some ideas how to create some hierarchical structure in order to get rid of duplication and simplify a way of adding new platforms into the test framework. We definitely need to think about test organization, how to separate tests for different operating systems, for instance. Right now we have this concept of modules, but it doesn't work that well in practice. So we are looking for some inspirations out there. We've been also running into some problems like with the OS configuration, because some tests assume that some tools are available. So we need to also work on the way that we provision the operating systems for testing. Other possible improvements, like reduce the number of power cycles, just to speed up the testing process if the power cycle is not needed. Improve the overall code quality. We can enable back some of the checks we have disabled for now because we have so many errors or warnings reported by the Robocop tool that we just gave up for now with some of the checks. Enforce documentation sections for all keywords and tests, and also automatically generate that. And with the ultimate goal being that we have only automated tests, and the documentation from the automated test is can be also used as a manual procedure to reproduce the test manually. And that would allow us to get rid of the dedicated test manuals, because it's really expensive to maintain that separately and very difficult to keep in sync with automated test cases. Sure. So some quick links how to get started with the open source firmware validation repository. Definitely some basic robot framework knowledge would be useful. So there are some links. The source to this presentation is also in GitHub, so you can follow them. The robot framework documentation is very nice, and I encourage you to take a look at the specific libraries which we use the most often. For Python, there are plenty of material, so you can pick whatever you want. There is no very basic Python knowledge we'll do here. If you want to run existing tests, you should just go to the README and try to follow the README. Try to get one of the supported platforms, and you should be fine. If not, just reach us out in matrix, which will be listed at the end. Here is example of how you can run example test on Protectly board. That's one of the basic ones. We just check if the custom boot menu string is displayed on the screen or over the serial port. If you want to write a new test case, you just should take a look at the existing ones and try to build from there. The self-tests are in a good shape right now, and those are good examples. There are some other commonly used tests below, which I can recommend. Some others might be in better or worse state. Just ask if you plan to start experimenting, and we definitely will help here. When you want to add a new platform, you should take a look at what platforms are supported right now, pick a similar one and try adjusting the configuration. You definitely need a way of controlling the power of the board. So as we said, we use RTE, SON-OFF, or both sometimes. Definitely BIOS firmware flashing would be desirable, and in most cases we use solid clip connected to the RTE all the time. That's the best solution if that's possible. For serial connection, we use a Certinet service, which exposes the serial connection over Telnet, and we use a Telnet library in the test framework. And as you can see, hardware setup is really maybe most of the challenge when you want to start with testing. Some example one is listed below. So the idea is that many can contribute to the repository. By contributing, you have the benefits of the existing tests we have already developed by FreeMDep and by others. And the idea is that you have some stable environment. The goal would be that FreeMDep maintains this repository and make sure that if there are some contributions, we make sure that they do not break others, and the new tests work on different kinds of platforms. As we have access to all of the supported boards, we can test that, and we also have some experience already working on that framework. For contribution, we use standard GitHub issues per request flow, and we encourage you to join the Dasharo matrix space and dedicated room where we can discuss basically anything related to that effort. So that's it. Thanks.
Thanks, Maciej.
Any questions?
How many tests we have implemented already?
How many tests? That's a very good question. Maybe around 100 to 200.
that's big, kind of like.
No, it depends how you count.
Depends how you count. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I guess the problem is organization of that big test scope and like kind of realize what kind of coverage we have of given features. Like I'm especially right now interested about UEFI secure boot test coverage, like how this look like.
As for the UEFI secure boot, we have like around 10 cases right now. I believe we are working on some more. I believe Oh, it's my screen is stuck. Okay.
Yeah, I guess that's. But on the other side, the screen was always like razor sharp, like during whole presentation. So
I just maybe wanted to show the results of the QEMU
okay.
release.
I thought that you will show some demo, but I guess like you did that last time, so that's enough.
Yeah, no, so that.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay. Oh, okay. So you're fine. Yeah, we already see your screen.
Maybe some report from the secure boot on the QEMU. So we see that most of the test passed. One was skipped because that was on Windows 11, and on QEMU we have not tested that one. And we have like a few tests here, like the default state, secure boot in Ubuntu, and then some scenarios like signing with, let's say, the unprovisioned key, seeing if that boots, if that binary can be loaded, and so on.
Yeah. So like just for community knowledge, like we plan to like widely expand that, and like I guess like we have, I don't know Maciej, how much we have on the roadmap. Like I guess like we have a couple more tests on the roadmap.
Yes, for the secure boot, yes. Maybe another 8 or 10, something like that. Depends on how deep we go here.
Yeah.
And yeah, those reports are quite nice because you can just browse them, and you can also go into individual tests and just see the execution step by step. So if you are debugging, this comes from Robot Framework, and that's why it's one of the benefits also. You can clearly see what's going on there, and it's really helpful when you are writing new cases or trying to analyze what has happened.
Yeah. By the way, you already hosting that on the dl3mdev.com.
Yes, that one, yes.
So did you link that to the release of QEMU v01?
Yes.
Okay, that's good. I will talk
Here,
about that during the roadmap. Okay. So you fixed that link.
Yes, correct.